So today we're going to be going through and setting up our Helcim account. Now I'm going to take you step by step to show you all the questions it's going to ask you in real time so you can make sure you set up your business account properly. Now we're going to actually up here onto the desktop so you can see what we're talking about, as you don't need to really see my face in this setup. Now, I will have a link for you in the show notes down below as we are going through this. I will have that linked up for you. That will take you to a page that looks just like this. You'll see our little logo on here so you know you're on the right page. Now, that link will help us out, and it does allow us to make more free content just like this to help you and your small business. So the first thing we're going to do when it comes to creating our Helcim account are these first 3 steps here. You're going to see it's going to be your full name, your email address, and then we're going to go ahead and create a password in this process. All right, so the next set right over here is actually going to be a drop down once you fill in the top 3 sections here, and it's going to ask you where your business is incorporated. It's going to ask for the country, and it says, does at least one owner reside in the business's country? And it's going to be yes or no here for you. And then there is going to be the terms of service as well as the privacy policy that you can agree with by checking this box. Once we do that, we're going to have that continue button clicked on next. So next up here, it's going to ask for your legal business name, your operating business name. So this could be like a doing business as well as the year you're registered. And this is going to be a drop down option for you here. So for our example here today, our legal business name is actually True Financials, and the business name that we're operating under for this channel here is actually called The Business Nerd, and then the year we were registered. So we have all this filled in, and we're going to click on continue to go to the next question. Now here it's going to ask for your business address, the type of business, which will be a drop down here for you, a phone number, as well as a website or a social media link. This part is of course optional, as you can see here. And then we're going to go ahead and click on continue. Now, next up here is going to ask what type of products or services do you provide? And there is going to be this bar over here that you can start typing in what you are selling. You can also click on here to find your industry if you couldn't type it in. So it'll bring up this window over here for you to go ahead and search the one that works best for you. And then down here, you're going to go ahead and describe your product or service, and then typically how long it takes for your customers to receive the product or service once they pay. So we're going to fill these things out, and then we're going to click on the continue button over here on the right. So next up here, it's going to ask your currency, which we have it set to USD, and then it's going to ask what are your typical sales. It's going to ask for your average transaction size, and then it's going to be a monthly revenue over here. These are both going to be drop downs, so you can just go ahead and plug in the closest amount that you can kind of relate to when it comes to your sales, and then the average amount that you do per month. Once you have all that plugged in, let's go ahead and hit continue to the next step. All right, so in this next section here, this is going to be where we plug in our ID number. And this is going to be either your tax ID, your EIN, or even your social security number can go in here if you are a sole proprietor. Now, this is going to be required by federal law. So just something to keep in mind if you're going through this process, this is safe to go do so. And it will be required regardless of any credit card processing company you go with. So we're going to go ahead and plug this number in. And what we're going to do is click on continue. Again, keeping in mind, this could be your tax ID, your EIN, or your social security number. Now, next up here is going to be asking about the owner of the business. It will pre-populate what the name you gave at the beginning. So if it's not the same, let's go ahead and change that out. Then it's going to ask for your date of birth, the ownership stake, which is the percentage that you own, whether it's 100 or 50 or 45%. We're going to plug that number in, as well as the email that we want to utilize, and also the phone number, and then also the home address. So a couple different things we're going to fill out here for us. And once we get that all filled out, we're going to click on continue to go to the next step. The next up here, it's going to ask for the owner's social security number, or SIN. And this might be the same as you plugged in earlier if you are a sole proprietor. So it's just going to be asking again because this is knowing for the actual business owner versus the actual business itself. So it's going to have your name up here as the owner, and then we're going to go ahead and plug in that social security number. Once we do that, we're going to click on the word create account. And right now we are actually going through a waiting page over here saying that they are creating the account. All right, so next up here, it says we're in, and we just need to do a few more detailed pieces here for us. So it asks what we are doing, either getting started or already selling items online or in person. Whichever option works best for you, this is just going to help with your setup process. So for our example here today, I'm just going to go ahead with I'm just starting, but these are going to be very similar questions here for us. And it says, when do you plan to start processing, either immediately or any of the other options we see here on screen? We'll click with immediately and hit continue. And then from here, it's going to ask where you sell, whether it's brick and mortar, online, through invoices, on the go, like if you are working at a market. Now you can actually click multiple of these as well too. So if all of these actually work for you, you can go ahead and click on that and hit continue. And from here, it's going to ask how you will accept the payments, whether it's the card being present or if it's not going to be present. This is typically online, by phone, or manual. But again, you can click on both if that's going to be the case. And then from here, we're going to go ahead and click on continue. And next up, it's going to ask how frequently will you charge your customers, whether it's one time or possibly reoccurring. Again, you could choose both of these. This is just going to help your setup process when it comes to your account. And from here, we're going to go ahead and click on continue. And then from here, it's going to ask if you want to have zero cost payment processing. So you can go ahead and enable this, but knowing that you can disable this if you want to later, or enable it as well if you have it currently disabled. And from here, we're going to go ahead and click on continue. And now here, it's going to ask if you want to go ahead and receive ACH payments. We can go ahead and check off this box and hit continue. Now from here, it's going to ask how you actually heard about Helcim. If you'd like to put in the business nerd, seeing as this is our video here for us, you can go ahead and do that and click the word finish. And just like that, we got to the main dashboard of our Helcim account. And you can see right now our account is just in review. And like I mentioned earlier, it can take a couple of days to go through this entire process. Sometimes it could just take a couple of hours. You will get a notification once your account is officially approved. Now, like I mentioned earlier, I will have that link for you in the show notes down below. So you can go ahead and get started and get to that starting landing page that I showed you earlier in the video. And like I mentioned as well, that link will support us out so we can make more free content just like this for you. And speaking of free content, I'm going to post my next video right over here so you can keep on learning and growing when it comes to running your small business.